edición especial de Crossover aquí en Ucuplay, como siempre, a través del canal de YouTube. Les pedimos a todos ustedes que nos ayuden con un like, que nos dejen un comentario. Digo edición especial porque ven que en el medio de la mesa tenemos un amigo de la casa ahora, recientemente llegado a la ciudad de Buenos Aires, el señor Rob Perez. Rob, thanks for coming here. How are you, first of all?
Bien, ¿y tú? Lo siento, hablo español más o menos. Yo comprendo español mejor que yo hablo, so lo siento a las personas that are watching this, but I'll try my best, as we say, en Estados Unidos.
Ya llegaste, llegando, o sea, everything.
Yes, I just learned all the differences in Espanol between Spanish or Mexican Spanish versus Argentinian Spanish. Vos, no tú. No llegar. Llegar? Llegar.
No calle.
I'm trying to learn here, people. I know Spanish, but not like that. So it's becoming a new language. We were complaining before that Argentinian Spanish different. I go to Barcelona where they speak Catalan. That might as well be another planet. I'm like, where's the Español? And I'm like, it's Catalan y Inglés in Barcelona. So that's.
You try euskera in País Vasco?
I think so. Yeah, at some point.
It was okay. It's okay. Probably, well, thanks for being here, first of all. And are you enjoying our capital city?
Mercado de San Telmo is magnifico on Domingo, right? That's the big day down there. Sunday, the caches are all shut down. It's just tent. So I get to shop for mi madre and Navidad, the hermanas, chicas. You know, I take care of all my presents necessary for Christmas. So I did that. Boca Juniors. I didn't attend the game, but I did go around the stadium before the match against Racing.
Just walking around La Boca.
Walked around La Boca. I just wanted to see the architecture, the buildings during the day before things got too crazy. It was right next to San Telmo, so I just, walked around. Yeah, it's the atmosphere. In America, we have Fútbol de Americano, Universidad. No NFL, but Universidad, college football. Different atmosphere than NFL. Pageantry, bandas, y all the above. It felt more like college football, and me gusta college football. So it felt similar, so I enjoyed just conversing and eating and drinking with some people before it got too loco. And then I got loco, so I'm glad I got out of there. But Palermo is a great place, and it's where I'm staying now. So I've enjoyed my stay. I came down here because sunset. Let's do it again. ¿Cómo se dice sunset?
Atardecer.
A las 4 en diciembre en los Estados Unidos. So, no bueno. I come here where it's sun is out sol till 8:30.
Yeah. It's a moment to be here.
Yeah, summertime. I can take my work with me because la computadora just necesario y microphone.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I need. So I watch, I work, and I can do what I do in the United States, but do it down here. So I come for 2 weeks, 2 semanas.
Good Wi-Fi, so...
Yeah, Wi-Fi, everything's fantastic.
Can work everywhere.
And people, those personas, everybody's nice. Everyone's very helpful. As you can tell, like, try and speak hablo español, and they're like, okay, English is bien, but I'm trying my best here to integrate into society. So it's been very enjoyable. It's a city that's always been on my bucket list. However, NBA makes it very difficult, muy difícil para mí to travel anywhere during the season because always working. So it needs to be same time zone. And Argentina, despite the United States doing daylight savings time, 5 hours ahead of Los Angeles, where I currently live. When I travel to like Japan and Asia, I mean, that's, I don't know,
The other side of the world.
14 años sometimes. You're doing your show at 3 a.m. That's just not feasible because then you have to stay up to watch the games and whatnot. So during the season, I was able to get down here, which is a lot of fun.
Let's talk about basketball, shall we?
Sure.
What would you...
Hold on a second. Tu favorito equipo es Boston Celtics?
I'm a Spurs fan.
Okay, está bien. Celtics no bueno, pero Spurs.
Come on.
Will be better. Okay, go Nick. How do you, in a general manner, how do you evaluate this season as of now? The general changes, tendencies, what do you see that hold your attention and so?
Okay, so do you guys remember the playoffs last year, first round?
Yeah.
The officials were permitting physicality. No fouls, no whistles. It was like prison ball. Como se dice prison ball? Do you know what I'm talking about? When you play baloncesto in jail.
Yeah, I mean, we say callejero, maybe callejero.
Okay.
Street ball.
That is the level that they were permitting in the first round. So fouls all the time, no whistles, no free throws. But during the regular season, this is a historic rate of free throws, stoppages. So it's been inconsistent, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily the most attractive product. However, the NBA is trying to protect the stars from getting hurt unsuccessfully and also prioritize offense. So they changed the rule, the high five rule over the summer. No more high five on a follow through. So now it's even more difficult to play defense than it is in previous years. And when I do a radio show in Los Estados Unidos con Antonio Daniels, who was on the San Antonio Spurs champions 1999. And he tells me all the time, I don't know how you're supposed to defend. They let players palm the basketball.
Yeah.
You can't high five, no more closeouts. So I find it very difficult for even the best defenders in the world to be able to exert their influence on the game the way that they used to. Offense, 80%. Defense right now, 20%. What's worth more? So that's the answer, and the biggest difference I've seen this season and how the game continues to evolve.
And how are you seeing this season with so many injuries?
That's a big question. So we call chicken or the egg. Which came first, right? You have players in the 1980s, 1990s who played all 82 games all season long. They did not have technology. You know those guns they use on their muscles? They didn't have those. They had tequila y cigarettes, and that's it. That's how you rehab. But they still played 82 games, despite not having access to that technology. Nowadays, you figure that they should be as in pristine physical form versus then, and yet they miss games all the time. Now, why is that? Is it because the game is moving faster than ever? Is it because it is more violent than it was? Debatable. From the 80s and 90s, we saw Michael Jordan and the Bad Boys. They had to change the rules because of how physical it was. I will say it's disappointing because so many stars are missing time when the NBA is doing everything they can to keep those stars on the floor with load management, with increased foul calls, and yet still they miss time. So then you have people that watch that are older, like my age, like, why are they so soft? That's what the players are so soft compared to what that may or may not be true. Because they will run more than ever. Sports science has been tracking NBA players' movement this season compared to 5-10 years ago, and they're running more distance than ever. So they're starting to get soft tissue injuries in their legs. The calf injury leads to the Achilles. Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, Tyrese Halliburton. It just keeps happening and happening. Why? Even Anthony Davis has one. Victor Wembanyama's dealing with one. They're being very careful so that it doesn't get worse. But all of these star players are coming down with the same injuries. Why does this keep happening? Is it because they're 7'4" and they play like they're 6 feet tall? Because they can dribble, they can run, they're not just parked underneath the rim anymore. I think it's a fun conversation to have because I don't know what the truth is, but it's hay un problema en NBA at the moment, and I don't know how to fix it.
And there it presents a little like dichotomy for coaches. I mean, they're not coaches. I don't know if you have coached in your life, but you have on the one side a historic lifting pace, like back to the 60s or 70s rate, and on the other, that many injuries. The question I have always, until dating myself internally, if should the coaches prefer to make a slower pace for their teams, for them to run a little less and prevent the risk of injuries? Or does the style of play of the NBA requires them for them to do so? And even if they play 60 games from the 80 and they are left out from the awards and the Olympic teams and etc., you should prefer to play faster and faster. And what's the solution there? How do you see that?
So let's start with the Miami Heat this year. They have completely revolutionized their offense to go from a team that Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Andrew Wiggins, like, it's okay, but there's no player there that's a superstar that can carry you for 5 minutes in the clutch of playoff games. So what Eric Spoelstra decided to do this offseason is turn the pace, their offensive pace, historically through the roof. They are playing faster than almost anyone ever, even the Wilt Chamberlain teams back in the 60s and 70s when the NBA was muy rápido. Now, this is blowing it all away. So the Miami Heat, if you watch any of their games now, they just push the ball, rarely ever in a half-court set. So they're just an example of a team that is willing to change their offense, because last year it was more half-court.
There was a lot of half court. I mean, even beyond the medium.
They just weren't very good. And I think Eric Spoelstra recognized the best way to extract the potential from the Miami Heat, my players, is to just push the pace. So now you get guys like Davion Mitchell that all of a sudden, like, their stats are through the roof.
Yeah.
But that's because they have so many possessions per game. So pushing the pace is smart if you have the right players on the roster, okay? And it will make your team better if the ball is popping as opposed to sticking. There's another team in the New York Knicks that goes from Tom Thibodeau. Ran a lot of pick and roll offense with Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns, but not pick and roll offense as much as pick and pop. The design for that was getting Karl Anthony Towns as many three-pointers as he can take, because you saw what the Boston Celtics did 2 years ago. Karl Anthony Towns is probably the unanimous best shooting center on earth. So let's put him in space, stretch the floor, and then Jalen Brunson can do whatever he wants because there's no one in front of him. The problem with that is you have Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby standing in opposite corners as gargoyles, stationary. They're watching. They're not engaged and involved. And when I speak to players, what they tell me is sometimes you just want to feel the leather, touch it. It makes you want to participate more on defense, be more engaged. You're willing to grind out regular season games when you're touching the basketball. And when you have guys just standing there, they're not integrated into the offense. So the change from Tom Thibodeau to Mike Brown, you can tell Mikal Bridges no longer standing in the corner. He starts there, but he's cutting, he's slashing, and he much more free-flowing. Less dribbles per possession has been studied and tracked, nearly half by Jalen Brunson. So the ball is moving more. That comes from pace, that comes from stylistic changes, and the NBA is certainly trending towards being much more sharing the basketball as opposed to give it to your best player, everyone go away. That'll happen in the playoffs in the final couple minutes, but during the regular season, you can tell the difference. So,
talking about this, which teams are you enjoying more to watch, to cover?
Well, Victor Wembanyama is always televisión número uno en mi casa. Always, no matter what. He will be, if he stays healthy, big if, he's already missed time with blood clot, calf injury. If he's healthy, he will be the best basketball player of all time. All time.
But this is a player. I want teams.
Oh, teams. Okay. Well, the Miami Heat are fun just because they're always pushing, and there's no whistles. But I would say I enjoy Denver Nuggets because of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray and their chemistry. I think they're the only team that can beat OKC. I like watching OKC Thunder because their defense is an assembly line, which means they can take someone off the bench. Some Brendan Carlson, Usman Jeng, like third stringers, they just come in and seamlessly replace Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, both Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. It doesn't matter. They have a system there that whoever is playing that night is just good to go and you lose nothing. That is almost impossible that you don't give something back going your third stringers. That's how Indiana almost beat them last year.
Yeah.
12 guys that they can just keep running and running and running. And even OKC was like, we've met our match. We were supposed to be the deep team. So I like these teams with a lot of depth in roster versatility. OKC, Denver.
Teams who plays with 10 or 11, 12 players.
Always entertaining. Because if you watch...
The key, I said...
If you watch the Lakers, yes, LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, they got DeAndre Ayton, they got big names. But if any of those guys miss time, you're like, I don't want to watch tonight as much. Now, Austin Reeves by himself, still great, still very fun to watch. But I do like these teams that can show up and perform every single night without needing star power to be entertaining. During the regular season, because when you get to the playoffs, it's all about stars. Different sport, completely different sport. It's officiated differently. The rules are different as well. And the style slows down because defense is so much more prioritized and encouraged versus the regular season.
How do you, I think it's the third year we're seeing it, how do you evaluate the new April rules and the salary rules? Because every team not called OKC is having trouble with it. So how do you think has affected the league for better or worse?
So that the apron's design was to create parity. I think that's the word that Adam Silver has used during a lot of his answers during press conferences. We're looking for more teams to be involved and have a chance later in the season. And to do that, we are going to prevent the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. You know what? Why they were so good? Because they could go sign David West, who was phenomenal all-star in New Orleans or in Indiana, but minimum contract. So we go with the Hamptons five, the five big names, Iguodala, Curry, all of them, Klay Thompson, and then we just go sign all of these veterans who want to win a ring to minimum contracts. And the rest of the league was like, we'll never beat these guys. They get to sign those players for so much cheaper because they want to go win a ring and they know they're going to. So NBA says, no mas. Okay? So if you are spending enough money to get into the aprons, we are going to limit your ability to do exactly something like that or restrict your ability to make trades unless you are matching dollar for dollar. This is all kind of boring talk because it's fine print, but it's necessary to understand because now you have a team like the Milwaukee Bucks. Here's the best example because now they're having to face trading Giannis in the near future. And I think the reason for that is they have been all in on building around him and proving that we can put together a championship team that makes you happy. That was never going to happen. And that's because the second apron exists. And the longer that you are in it, you start losing your draft pick. You can't sign or trade for anyone in the second apron. Luxury tax penalties up the wazoo for the owner. They have Damian Lillard on the books for $22.5 million for the next half decade because they had to stretch and waive, okay? So the presence, while they weren't in the second apron, the presence of the second apron prevents them from signing anyone other than Miles Turner. So they go to Giannis and they say, look, we got you Giannis Turner, or we got you Miles Turner. You're going to stay, right? Like, thank you, but no. With all due respect, I need more than that to compete with the Knicks, the Pistons, the Magic. They're just not good enough as is.
Mm-hmm.
So the second apron is doing its job in forcing teams to prioritize the 2 to 3 years that you have those players on the books. Go for the championship, because when they need to get paid, you're going to have to make a tough decision whether you want to go into the second apron or let them walk. That's why OKC is such a cheat code right now, because they're probably going to let Lou Dort and Isaiah Hartenstein walk off of a team option next season. But it's OKC. They have lottery picks that haven't even touched the floor yet. Nikola Topic is not even in the rotation. So they have, in a way, broken the system by being so good at their jobs that they can let Isaiah and Lou walk to another team and then just replace them with one of their 50 draft picks that they have coming up next.
We were also kind of prepared to do so because I think you mentioned Milwaukee. I mean, they traded for Holiday before the second apron came out. And I'm sure they were kind of aware what was going on in the negotiations, but they kind of were presented with a structure. It didn't favor their salary payroll like for the moment it was introduced. So yeah, I mean, then OKC has AJ Mitchell, which has now emerged, like barely played last season, and now has like, he's not starting, but he's like playing in the deep rotation.
Do you remember the original Karl Anthony Towns trade from Minnesota to New York? The Knicks were under the second apron by, I think, $1, and they had to include 10 different players, guys that weren't even in the NBA. They had to sign them to a 10-day contract or something so that they were technically, and then you can say they're off the books. So every team has to work on a math equation so that you don't go into the second apron. The Phoenix Suns last year, the Boston Celtics. When you're in that second apron, you have what? A season or two before the luxury tax repeater penalty multiplies. So the owners end up, what, $500 million? Why do you think they're selling the team? Because it's worth a ton, and I don't want to pay $500 million in luxury tax, especially when we don't repeat as champions.
Yeah.
So that presence, you can put together Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, but you better win within 2 seasons. Otherwise, that's when the repercussions, the ramifications of establishing those rosters starts to come into effect. Only OKC is safe from all of this. The only ones. Everyone else, you better have proper structure to all of your star players. Otherwise, you're next.
You said Denver is the only team who can beat the OKC. So, what do you think about Houston?
Close. By the way, Denver was one of those second apron teams last year. They had to let Bruce Brown and they let all of the role players from their championship team, KCP to Orlando, necessary parts around Murray and Jokic. They struggled last year because their bench is terrible, but then they're able to reset their books just a little bit, and now they've got the team, maybe the best team that they've ever had. And Jokic is having the best season of his career. So Denver takes OKC to 7 games last year. Aaron Gordon is on half a leg. One leg was okay, the other was completely done. But there was no one else that they could bring in off the bench. Julian Strawther had big game 6, but that's at home. Different on the road, right? Role players always play better at home. So you're looking around saying, man, we were so close with that team. You have to think Denver now is legitimately the only team in the West that can beat them until we watch opening night. Houston, OKC, ring night, double overtime. Houston, unless Kevin Durant doesn't foul Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, is probably thinking we should have won that game. We're as good as them. And they're going to have their chance to play them again. But I need to see, one, Dorian Finney-Smith come back to the lineup. Tari Eason needs to get healthy. And they're going to have to find a way to replace Fred VanVleet, someone that can set the table as a floor general point guard. If it's not Fred VanVleet, is that going to be Reed Shepherd? Is he ready for OKC? Is he ready for Jamal Murray and Denver? That's why the regular season is important, to get him those reps. But if they determine no, they're going to need to go find James Harden back in Houston, someone who can
Holiday?
maybe. The point guard is an endangered species now. The traditional point guard, Chris Paul, Mike Conley, Rondo. How many true point guards are in the NBA right now? Tyrese Halliburton? Any others you can think of?
True point guard.
Connell, I mean,
Mike Conley, right?
But Halliburton is a scorer too.
He's the only one that strikes me as high basketball IQ, that is table setter, spearhead of offense, floor general. James Harden's best position is point guard. When he was in Brooklyn, Kyrie and Kevin Durant both said, we want him setting us up. because he's the best at distributing, right? He's known for scoring, but as point guard, that's his best. And that's why I suggest Minnesota and Houston. If you want to be taken seriously, got to go get James Harden. Mike Conley's not going to do it at his age in Minnesota, and Houston missing Fred VanVleet.
So do you like Harden's fit in Houston? Because you would take up all of Kevin Durant, the all of Ahmed Johnson, the all of Şengün. How do you see that?
He would have to understand his role on that team. This is still
happening?
At this stage in his career, knowing Kevin Durant is there, I think he'd be willing to accept it. But he has history in Houston with the ownership group. He's one of Hakeem Olajuwon. There's been some great players there before. He's on the Mount Rushmore, of best Rockets players of all time. So to ask him, we just need you to get guys open. James Harden is still very good despite being on a bad Clippers team. So if he's willing to accept that role, then I would be encouraged to go make a trade for him. Houston certainly has the assets to be able to get that done. And I think it's going to be necessary to beat OKC 4 out of 7 times. This is not sudden death. This is not one leg like we had between Boca Juniors and Racing. It's 7. 4 out of 7, no flukes in the NBA. The best team will always win. And OKC is not losing 4 out of 7 times to anyone but Denver right now.
And in the Eastern Conference?
Oh, I mean, the Knicks and Pistons, I would say, are the 2 best teams, with Orlando, Cleveland. Cleveland's been struggling. Orlando's been playing better recently, but it's the Knicks and the Pistons. And they have a little rivalry going on because of what happened in the first round last year. Pistons fans think we should have won that series. And now we're better too, the same way Denver got better. We lost Malik Beasley, who was, super important, but Duncan Robinson has replaced that like this overnight. They've added some important pieces around there. The problem with Detroit that I find is they have what I like to call one gravity guy. Gravity? Okay. So gravity means someone who is attracting opposing defenders. Okay, eyeballs as well as legs. So when Cade has the ball, everyone's paying attention, and you start to help a couple extra steps because he's going to beat his guy off the dribble, and I need to be in a position to help. The biggest gravity guy ever, Steph Curry, or at least this generation. You always have to be cognizant of where he's running on the floor, even if he doesn't have the ball. Your entire defense is focused on him. Who else on Detroit would you consider a gravity guy other than Cade? Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris.
All-Star can get there, but
No, not gravity guys, off the dribble. So in the playoffs, a team like the New York Knicks is going to understand how to help against Cade. And if someone else wants to beat us one-on-one, we're willing to live with that. But the Knicks have Karl Anthony Towns. They have Jalen Brunson. Even the Cavaliers with Garland, Mitchell, kind of Orlando, if they're healthy, they've got Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, a little bit Jalen Suggs, or Desmond Bane. So I just wonder if Detroit needs to throw their hat into the ring to be one of those teams interested in a James Harden, just so we have another gravity guy to draw attention away from Cade Cunningham, because he's amazing. But he's kind of by himself in the half court. He's been good enough to be able to close games, but can you do it 4 out of 7 times? I'm going to keep asking that question because it's difficult to do.
I'm personally a big fan of your X account or your Twitter account. I don't follow your Chase streams yet.
The LA thing.
Yeah, well, sometime. How do you envision, not only on social media, but also with the new TV providers? Yeah, with Udi, like the new contract. We've seen probably do a request by the NBA, more like tactical segments and sort of explaining how the game is played. But this wasn't like the tendency the years prior. Do you see this being like a recovery of the game talk, the ball talk, besides the narrative thing? Or is it just like a first few months thing, and then we will come back to the like dirty social media discussion, which has nothing to do with basketball?
So, do you guys watch wrestling? WWE? Do you know about Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Yeah.
Okay. So, Attitude Era at the end of the 90s was one of the most popular television shows of any channel, any network in America and across the world.
Generation X.
That's you get fined nowadays for doing this in the NBA. $35,000 fine. They've been handing him out because Joel Embiid always does this, and he brought out Triple H before a playoff game, and then went like this together. I'm gonna get fined if this is NBA content. I'm sorry, Adam.
35 chipas.
Yes, 35 more chipas. The reason for me bringing that up is what made it such an attractive product is one, the WrestleMania Royal Rumble, fantastic. Like the athletes performed, but there was also this element of hype and promotion during Raw and SmackDown, where The Rock would be and Stone Cold would be throwing up middle fingers. Vince McMahon would be taunting and being the evil boss, and it got you so excited for the games. Now, ultimately,
John Cena turning to a heel.
of course. Oh, yeah, there you go. So all of this off the court drama, I think, is still necessary to getting mainstream sports fans that don't love basketball or love the NBA. They may love a story, a scandal, or hearing about something sports adjacent or related that gets them back intrigued into the product, okay? But at some point, you need to show them the basketball needs to be good. Otherwise, why do I care about all of this if the product, the whole point that's what you're selling, doesn't deliver? So I too have seen an initiative from the NBA as well as a lot of content creators let's focus on the basketball. Okay. Great. We need analysts. We need basketball nerds. We need to be able to find a way to illustrate to viewers what an Iverson cut is, what the flex offense is, what pick and roll is, okay, what a zone versus man-to-man principles, off-ball screens, all of the floppy action. How many people know what floppy action is? Do people care? Most people don't. Most people want to come home. They want to turn on a television, kick the legs out in their chair, grab a cerveza, and just be entertained, right? That doesn't normally require an education on floppy action or elevator door screens. So there needs to be just middle ground and balance is the answer here. It is important. Let's continue to educate, but we'll do it in a way that everyone can understand what's going on. If we get too nerdy, man, I just don't care. Some people are going to think that. Yeah, I'm sure you know what you're talking about, but I don't know that the entire world has that same interest level. So let's keep the off-the-court shenanigans going to get them in the door, and then we'll prove to you why the actual sport is worth sticking around for with proper analysis. I personally like my X feed was your original question, my Twitter feed. I just like to do both. So I will participate in a lot of the, whatever you call it, that happens off the floor. But at the same time, I'm down to have a serious basketball conversation like we just had here for the last 15 minutes. But both of that is necessary, in my opinion, because I'm thinking about the bigger picture in the net, okay? There's a world outside of the United States. Americans think we run everything. It's our way. No. Like, there's other countries, too, that are interested in this sport. So how do you appeal to them, right? I'm always trying to think about that kind of stuff, and I don't know if everyone's the same way.
Well, we are running out of time. We are very, very grateful that you are here. Pick your historic starting five.
Historic starting five. Okay, so are we going to do positions like point guard, shooting guard, or just best five?
I'd like it to be a coherent starting five.
So with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
centers. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do it.
You can have some flexibility, but you
let's do it.
have 5 centers.
No, that's okay. So this is not going to be 5 best players of all time. It's a starting 5 most ideal lineup. Okay, we'll go with. We're playing today's rules too, right? 2025. Because if we're playing in 90s rules, then it might be different. Yeah. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, kind of want to put Tim Duncan as my power.
I want you to put Tim Duncan, but I want to come out.
The best power forward of all time. And now who did I leave out? Steph Curry, Kobe, Wilt, some great players. Larry Bird.
Really say Larry Bird?
Larry Bird, yeah.
Okay.
Well, who would you replace Larry Bird with? Tim Duncan?
Yeah.
I wanted some size because I know I got to
Okay.
And Tim
So against the Rockets are gonna get cooked in the paint.
Now they can guard. They can guard us.
You could come up with a second five with like Shaq, Hakeem, that would be able to compete with the five I just talked about. But Bill Russell, there's been some great players, man. And you would put Steph Curry on that team. Kevin Durant would probably be on that team as well.
Giannis.
Yeah. There's so much talent, but I think that's my ideal if we're doing traditional positions. That's my starting five. Because Tim Duncan can still space the floor, not three-pointers, but mid-range. Kareem be anywhere. LeBron is LeBron. Jordan is Jordan. And then Magic is setting everything up, getting people in position to succeed. So Magic Johnson's, I still think, the best point guard ever, despite Steph making a legitimate case for it. So that's it.
So I have one last question. When it's like really short one. Where is Giannis going to play on February 6th after the trade deadline? Easy one.
Not in Milwaukee. I think he will be traded. Yeah.
Okay.
This team is it's over. The analogy I use is when you go to the casino and you lose, you go to the ATM to get cash. Then you lose again. So what do? You go to the ATM to get cash. At some point, the ATM says, no más. No más dinero para tú, or para vos, right?
No más.
Okay. So what you do is, okay, no cash, but I'll take out a credit loan, 25% interest, cash advance. So then you take more. That's where Milwaukee is right now. They're on the cash advance portion because of Damian Lillard's stretch and wave. They're already $22.5 million behind the rest of the league in being able to spend. They still have Kuzma on the books. Miles Turner is whatever. The team's just not good enough. Giannis knows that. He is going to get his way out. And he has such tremendous market value that they will get back the combination of what the Knicks paid for Mikal Bridges and James Harden's trade where he got like they're going to get 9 first-round picks and swaps. This will not be a Luka Anthony Davis where they just AD 1 pick and Max Christie. No. This is open market. So I think he will end up in... I don't want him to go to the Knicks. He got too good at chemistry. I don't want to trade Karl Anthony Towns. Dynamic of having a three-point shooter goes away if you put Giannis on the floor, but he makes up for it on defense. I think it's going to be San Antonio or there's such a... every conversation starts with OKC because they have the most to offer. I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah.
I do think San Antonio will entertain it despite having a history of always wanting to draft and develop guys. They never go big game hunting. I think they might this time around because if you have Giannis and Wembanyama who complement each other perfectly, no one will ever get an open shot against the Spurs for the next 10 years. And you have so many guards with De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Dylan Harper. You can choose. You can be okay with they're all great, but you can let go one of them, plus Keldon Johnson, plus Harrison Barnes, plus 6 picks. That allows Milwaukee to hit the ground running on a rebuild process. But if they want to sell it to the fans, they're going to go to Miami and say, give us Tyler Hero because he's from Wisconsin. I just don't know what their business strategy is. But San Antonio, to me, has always been lurking in the shadows.
Okay. Bro, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me, guys. Buenos Aires. Muy bonito ciudad.
You want the last one?
No, gracias.
Se hace como dos.
We've done it. We did 2 rounds, right? The caffeine is making me all...
Okay.
Mate es muy bien, pero my brain is like, zing! Yeah, no, it's okay. Well, thanks, guys.
Rob Perez con nosotros aquí en Crossover. Cerramos una linda entrevista. Quédense y denle like a todos nuestros videos. Dejen un comentario y síganos en @CrossoverXNBA.